All right, so what's the impact of the Trump executive order on H1B, raising the fees to 100,000 US dollars? Now they've clarified it's a one-time fee. It's not going to be an annual one, and it's going to be for new H1B visas. It does not apply to existing H1B visa holders. But I want to go across to Vivek Wadhwa, he's CEO of Vionix Biosciences, a very ardent and passionate advocate of Indian techies, doing well in the United States. Thanks very much, Vivek, for joining us. When the announcement was made Friday, what was your first reaction? Because there was a lot of confusion, companies putting out advisories, asking their folks to come back within the deadline of 21st midnight Eastern. But now over the weekend, they've clarified a couple of things. One, that it's going to be for new applicants. Two, it's going to be a one-time fee, not an annual one. Do you reckon that this sort of controls the damage a bit, or do you think the damage has already been done?
I think my reaction was, oh my God, not another Trump disaster. Just like he did with the tariffs, that's only hurting America. I mean, short term, we're surviving it, but ultimately American consumers are paying. In this case, American competitiveness is paying. This is the most stupid thing you could possibly have done. It doesn't matter if it was 10,000 or 100,000, just all this anti-H1B rhetoric, it's now scaring away people. There are about 1.5 million, skilled immigrants right now in limbo here, which means that they're waiting for green cards, and the majority of them are Indians because the backlog for Indians is in the decades, 60, 70 years, as long as that. The message it is sent to them is that you're not welcome, that we're going to tax you, we're going to do everything we can to get you out of this country. So these are very highly skilled people. They're making, healthy six-figure salaries. They're living comfortable lives. They can just as well pack up and go back home and take their knowledge, their savings, and their abilities with them.
But tell me,
this is just a disaster for the United States.
Where do they go? I mean, do countries like Canada or Mexico or other Latin American countries sort of make use of this or take advantage of this? Do these folks, can they come back to India? Can India create, for example, a Silicon Valley of its own? I mean, what are the adjacencies that are required for a bulk of this talent to come here and flourish, just like they've been flourishing in the States for so many years now?
India is already creating its Silicon Valleys. I mean, all over the country, wherever I go, entrepreneurship is booming. I'm coming to India next month. I'm going to Chennai of all the people, Coimbatore. I mean, they're going to be thousands of entrepreneurs over there, all over the country. I'm amazed at the vibrancy, the energy, and also the abilities of India. I mean, I took a big gamble in India, because I had the problem. You talk about the visa problem. I was looking to start a company over here. It required deep technology. I mean, thermal, non-thermal, plasma, physics, thermodynamics, all sorts of complex physics and engineering and mechanical skills that aren't available in the USA. So I needed skilled technicians. I could have hired them from the IITs in India and brought them over to the United States in a normal, in a normal world. That's what I did in the past. I had, founded 2 companies before. I worked for large American companies, and when we didn't have talent, we would simply hire them from abroad. India being the best place for a lot of talent.
So what happens
now,
to these
it's impossible.
1.5 million, 2 million plus folks? They've lived a large part of their adult life in the US. They have their kids there, housing mortgages going on. How do they just uproot and move wherever it is, whether they come back to India or go someplace else?
It's very hard, and this is the trauma that they're going through. I know many of these people, and they're really worried because they've been waiting for their green cards for 10 or 20 years in the same crappy jobs. Because the problem is that once you get into the queue, if you change professions, which means you become a manager after being a computer programmer, it's a new profession. You have to go back to the queue again. So they've basically this is the problem with the H1Bs. This is why there's so much anger about it, because they're being taken advantage of. They're getting less than market salaries. They're stuck in their old jobs. They can't change jobs. So the companies are very happy with this, and they're now having a big crisis. What do we do? Well, the good news is that India is now very hospitable to them. They can come back and live in gated communities in India, and they can bring their talent back with them. And what's more, they can work from home. Many of these companies, the vast majority of them, will allow them to work from wherever they are. So many of them are having discussions about, well, let's go back to Bangalore, or let's go back to Delhi, or wherever they might be, wherever their families are, and buy a $1 million house over there. We live in complete comfort with servants, with drivers, all the things that we couldn't even dream about in the United States. So people are talking about going back. So, and this has been happening for the last 10, 15 years. And a lot of the unicorns over there, a lot of the tech companies there have brilliant Indians who've come back from America because of the immigration system. So this is what this whole H1B thing is accelerating, is a return of highly skilled talent. The question about jobs, they'll create their own jobs, or they'll work for American companies from India itself.
What happens to Indian IT companies? I believe, the big five, that's between Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, HCL, Wipro, cornered a bulk of the H1Bs that have been given every year. What happens to them? Do they offshore some of these jobs back to India, or how does it work for them?
Zakat, it's insignificant. You're talking about a few thousand employees. When you're companies with hundreds of thousand employees, a couple of thousand employees is not going to make a difference to them. And what's more, all they're going to do is they're going to do more offshoring. So now, see, this is what's happened over here, is that everyone's heard about. This has been front page news all across the United States also, as it has been in India. And now the CEOs, the boards of the companies are aware that it's not easy to bring H1Bs in. So what they're now saying is, let's offshore. So what I was getting to is that when I couldn't hire the talent over here, what did I do? I came to India. I found an amazing team at IIT Madras. I've got 20 engineers at IIT Madras. And then I've got AI developers all over India working for me. And they're working at par with the best in Silicon Valley. That's what really surprised me. That within 4 months, my machine learning developers were equal to the people I would have to pay $150,000, $200,000 a year for here in Silicon Valley, who would have an attitude. They want to work 25, 30 hours a week. They have the right to do multiple jobs. They want perks. Can we get DoorDash deliveries for dinner when we work past 6 p.m.? These are the type of questions you get asked over here. None of these problems with the Indian crew. They work very hard, and they're committed to the cause. It's a big opportunity for them to work for a hot American company. So they're grateful. I'm grateful. And we're building world-changing technology. This is what's going to happen on a very large scale with company after company. They're going to set their offshoring. They're going to do offshoring instead of outsourcing. Right now, the H1Bs are a convenience. They'll work from where they are. The Indian companies will even make more money because their margins are higher when they have more engineers working in their labs in Bangalore and wherever else they have their.
But tell me, Vivek, if I'm not mistaken, there is a piece of legislation that's doing the rounds of the U.S. Congress. I think it's called the HIRE Act, where it gives the president powers, if it's passed, of course, to stop offshoring of these jobs. Do you think that'll be the next step that Trump were to take if this exorbitant fee on H1B were to result in jobs being offshored? Do you think Trump will go down that route?
It's complete nonsense. Trump is deluding himself if he thinks he can do anything like that. It's like telling American companies you can't have branches abroad. How can they stop that? This is capitalism. Trump doesn't have that kind of power. He'll make noises and get everyone fearing and cause the price of Indian companies to drop like he did just now. But it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to fizzle out. This whole, when I see the hysteria about the stock prices of Infosys and Persistent and all these companies dropping, I'm laughing at them, saying, what a bunch of idiots these people are who are sort of overestimating the impact of H1B visas. No, these companies are going to flourish now because they're going to get more work, not less work, and Trump cannot stop it.
Tell me, I'm sure this phrase called brain drain was a very popular one when you were in college and at the time that you moved to the.
Look, I published the leading research on it. I documented that 52% of Silicon Valley startups are founded by immigrants, with Indians being the largest constituency, and then the numbers dropped. I also wrote a book called Immigrant Exodus, which predicted that there would be a brain drain, a reverse brain drain, like the world has never seen, to China and to India. I've been 100% right. So, China now, we fear it because of all the things that they're doing. Everything from biotech to AI, you name it, clean energy. They're leading it because of returnees to China. The same thing happened in India. India's got more than 100 unicorns right now. All of these unicorns have returnees in them. You go to the most advanced labs, they have returnees in them. That is the brain drain in reverse. In the 80s, there was a brain drain from India to the West. In the 2000s, 2010s, it reversed. And India is a big beneficiary of this. And what's going to happen now is it's going to be even bigger. What was before a trickle is going to become a flood, and India wins. India wins, first of all, by IT companies now getting more business. Okay, fine. But more importantly than that, it wins because tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands will return home and bring tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars of wealth back with them. And then they're going to be, revitalizing India's economy, giving it a big boost over the next 5 or 10 years. This is America's stupidity. India wins over here.
All right.
I don't know why Indians aren't realizing this. The news over there is so negative that I sit back and I laugh at it and think, what a bunch of fools. They don't seem to look at the big trend.
Well, we'll see. I mean, you look at the stock markets today, the IT index, I think, got really hammered. But we'll see how this plays out. For the moment, though, thank you very much, Vivek Wadhwa. As always, a pleasure speaking with you and sort of picking your
Anytime.
brains on an important issue such as this. Thank you very much.